You one or two things. Your name is...
From October, first week in October, because I had 8 weeks boot camp.
Okay, so it was from October 1950?
Yeah, I enlisted 8.
That's
Yeah.
okay. Okay, to June 1954. And your rating was Boilerman, 3rd class.
No, boatswain's mate.
Bosun's mate.
That was the first one. And then I got out of the boatswain's division. I wanted to strike for the Snipes, the engineering division.
Mm-hmm.
So I transferred to our division. I had to give up my 3rd class to go up again. To take fireman, went up to, I got out after 4 years of 2nd class.
2nd class.
Yeah.
So DC is
Damage control.
damage control.
Yeah.
It's 3rd class or 2nd?
2nd is what I got out at, yeah.
I was in the Marines, so I'm ignorant of some of these ratings
Yeah,
in the Navy.
yeah.
Uh,
Now they're all rated different than I don't
They've
know
all
what that.
changed things,
Yeah,
I know.
right.
Okay, what we'll do is I speak a little bit loudly
Mhm.
so that it can be picked up on the
Oh,
microphone.
yeah.
And I'll introduce you. I introduce myself,
Mhm.
yourself, and the date and so on like that, because these tapes will be used in an oral history archive.
Oh, okay.
They'll be stored, they'll be transcribed,
Mhm.
so that people 200-300 years now can read the
Oh, yeah, I
transcription,
understand that.
watch the tape. So we thank you for doing it.
See, I live in a memorial park, Veterans Memorial Park.
Oh, uh-huh.
So, that,
You're involved in some of this stuff.
yeah, I have to keep a record of all this stuff.
Really? Okay.
And I'm a living watchman at a park. So.
Okay. Let me just write something down here. Previous ones.
It's a unique park in Texas, yeah. I have most beautiful lawn ornaments.
Start out. Okay. Hello, my name is Dr. Tom Bennett from Kane University. Today is September 13th, the year 2002. We're aboard the battleship New Jersey, which is stationed in Camden, New Jersey. I'm working with Mr. E.B. Helms at on the tape. And today we're interviewing Mr. Frederick Andrews, who served aboard the battleship New Jersey from October 1950 to June 1954. He began working on the ship as a boatswain's mate, 3rd class, and then transferred to damage control, 2nd class, where he ultimately completed his tour of duty.
I began as a seaman, or a seaman. Yeah.
As a seaman. Thank you, sir. Well, let's start the conversation. I'll be asking 3 general questions, and the first one is, how did you come to be involved with the battleship New Jersey?
It was my home for 4 years. I was assigned to it. My first station, duty station, and they sent us right out of boot camp. We were supposed to have 11 weeks boot camp. They signed us to 8 and said that ship had to be put in commission out of Bayonne. So the first duty I had was to help the yard workers sandblast about the ship. I worked as a sand hog under there. First job on the ship. And they assigned me to 3rd Division, which was 2 years. I was in 3rd Division. And there's nothing to learn. It's boatswain's mates and there's gunnery, and I didn't want to get involved with the guns. Although I worked in the magazines of the station. As a battle station, I pushed 16-inch powder bags into the carriage. So finally I got the hold of personnel. I said I wanted to get out of that, after 2 years, wanted out of that division. I wanted someplace I could learn. And damage control looked real well. It's so versatile in all different types of work. Working my hands and tools.
Talk a little bit about, before we get to damage control, talk a little bit about your experiences down in the powder room for the 16-inch guns, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
What was it like working down there? How heavy were the powder kegs you're working with, and so on?
I'll describe the most unique time I had down there. The Battle of Wonsan. They kept us awake 87 hours at battle stations. And we're bombarding for that length of time. Wonsan and perimeter. Until they could get shore bombers to open up on us, we could target them. But 87 hours is a long time. I didn't realize if I was alive or awake at that time. I had to stay awake. And we were just pushing powder bags when they called for them. That was it, into the ram.
And how heavy are the powder bags?
87 pounds apiece.
87 pounds. And you were on duty for 87 hours straight then?
Yes.
Was it hot down there, dirty?
It was hot and dirty. We'd sometimes get a break in the shelling. They'd let part of us go up and they sent somebody down with sandwiches and some drinks, whatever we had. But it was always sandwiches and stuff. We couldn't go to a meal, and that's how it was.
Did you have a sense of when the gun was firing? Did you feel the fire?
Oh yes, we always knew the vibrations and that, even in the magazines. Yeah.
And what was your feeling serving in a powder room, being part of a large gun that's firing, towards the North Koreans and towards the war in general?
Well, the war in general, I knew we had to do our duty. That was our duty. And of course, being reared on a farm during the Depression, you had to do it, whatever you were told to do. That was about it. So we had to defeat the enemy, however it was. And now that's about all I can say right now.
Did the battleship New Jersey take a hit during one of the shellings?
Oh yes. I was there when the Osterwind got killed.
Who did, what?
Osterwind,
Osterwind.
the one death. Yeah,
Yes.
I was aboard then.
Mm-hmm.
And matter of fact, I turned 2 packs of films and stuff that I took pictures, and one of them shows the damage, collateral damage done by shells, and you can tell by the one outrigger from a turret, it was definitely a 5-inch hole through it. So we knew that was a railroad car that fired at us. We tried to get it to come out of the mountain. They didn't want to sacrifice it. So they finally got out there pot-shotting at us, and we was able to get aim on it. 9-gun salvo took the mountain down on them. That's what they were trying to avoid. We're trying to get them.
How did the men react to the loss of that fellow crewman?
Well, we had what ceremonies we could, and then when he was shipped out, as a matter of fact, I was one of the people who worked in carp shop making wooden boxes for him. So, like one time we had to make up 21 boxes in a carpenter shop for the bodies we brought aboard in sacks dripping.
Of Marines or Army
No,
personnel?
this is a ship that had hit a mine. 21 bodies were splashed around there. We had to send a workboat crew over and scrape them up in mail bags. Now these were 4-foot by 4-foot bags. They didn't know what parts belonged to who, but they had to count for 21 bodies. And I don't know if they ever found out who belonged to what. But anyway, they brought them aboard and took them down to our fresh food locker to wait and bomb them. Well, while they're putting them down in fresh food locker, they go through different decks of hatches. My rack was right side of it. I was trying to sleep.
And they're dripping all over.
They're dripping all down there. I didn't have too good a time sleeping. But anyway, I took it was part of war.
How did the men react to being in a combat situation like that, where you're working 87 hours, 20 hours at a time?
Well, more like it was their duty. It was their duty. And that's the way we took it. We signed for our duty. And we had a job to do and get it over with.
Now, after you worked as a bosun's mate, by the way, what is the job of a bosun's mate, for the record?
Well, let's see, they do painting, chipping hammers, holystone the deck, tie knots, run the launches. They could run as high as the LCVPs, LCMs. Matter of fact, I run LCMs a couple times. But they take the officer launches and use it. We used to call it the officer's taxi service.
So the LCVP is Landing Craft Vehicle Personnel,
Right.
36-foot boat. The LCM was a 50-foot boat.
Right. We have an LCM in my park where I live.
Landing
Yeah.
Craft Mechanized, for the record.
Uh-huh.
After being a bosun's mate, you transferred to damage control.
Right.
What was your responsibilities in damage control?
Oh, that was more. As a matter of fact, his responsibility is the integrity of the ship. I mean, my assignments was I had to replace the gaskets in these doorways and the hatches. When the rubber started checking, we had to make sure the compartments would have carry 7 pounds of air for an hour, constant, without losing air. Every compartment had to be tested. They had those hatches on. And that was part of my job. Another job was repairing fire plugs. I was also on the helicopter detail crew. And taking soundings, that is to test the void areas for water in case it leaked in. And that was a regular routine job. They had to go around all the way around the ship, and you start over again, do it again.
How would you take a sounding?
Well, that is on a reel. It has marks on it. It had a brass point on it. They have brass caps on the deck. You unscrewed them, and every so far you find one along the rail. You have to unscrew it and drop it down, and you pull it back and check how far water was in the void. Most voids had a little water in, but they were only allowed so much. It also had to order it pumped out.
And they had pumps in each one of the voids?
Right, they're interconnected with pumps and stuff.